To any eligible hot Canadian men listening, just know the husband application is officially open. Hi, ugly. It's me, Busfrill Lavigne, and welcome back to Hot or Rat. And today we'll be reviewing episode 3 of Canada's Drag Race Season 5, where our queens were split into groups and challenged to lip sync the house down boots of God in the Lip Sync Slayoffs Teams Edition, which is basically just the lip sync Lollapalooza that we know and love with a twist. Cause y'all wanted a twist, eh? And the basic setup of this challenge is that the two teams are going to be doing 5 total lip syncs, where each lip sync win is worth 1 point. And the team with the most points or lip sync wins by the end of the Slayoffs will be considered the winners and earn themselves safe placements in this challenge. However, if you're on the losing team and you lose your lip sync, you'll be in the bottom this week. But if you're on the losing team and you win your lip sync, then you'll be safe this week. And if you're wearing a yellow sock and it's Friday morning and RuPaul did see her shadow, then there will be 6 more weeks of winter and you will be immediately ejected from the competition. And after firing off the list of rules, Tracy Melchor lets the queens know that the team captains this week are going to be Perla and the Virgo Queen, since they are our current Maxi Challenge title holder winners. Perla then is the first person to select a member of her team, and she chooses Makayla. Clever girl. And this for team ends up as Tiffany and Co, Jaylene, Tyme, and Gahd. Whereas the Virgo Queen's first team member selection is Sanjina, Dabish Queen, and the rest of her team ends up as Helena, Poison, Minhi, Wang, and Xana. And the other cool thing about this lip sync Slayoffs twist is that the teams actually get to assign songs to the members of their team based on who wants them, which means there's no fickle finger of fate or wheel of doom spinning to select who's going to lip sync, which removes that element of randomness and also removes the element of strategy of getting to select your opponent. However, I think doing it the Slayoffs way is much better for the queens because it puts a lot less burden on them to learn a bunch of songs that they may never have to actually lip sync. But it does introduce an interesting element of strategy for the second team, who can assign counter picks to lip sync tracks based on who they think team 1 assigned songs. Ultimately though, this doesn't really play out and all the queens on both teams just kind of fight for the songs they want. And now in the order they lip synced, first up it's Makayla Couture versus Minhi Wang, lip syncing to Too Hot by Alanis Morissette. And y'all, Makayla is the one. She is the moment. She is the goddess of this season. She was too hot in this track. She was sultry. She was sexy. She was giving all the vibes that this song calls for and was totally on fire. She is such a good lip syncer and this performance was hot. Miss Minhi Wang, on the other hand, went for a very camp performance to this sexy rock track that just didn't work for me. I didn't find anything she was doing to be humorous, and instead it felt awkward and kind of distracting from what Makayla was doing. So I'm like over here trying to enjoy her lip sync, and then Minhi Wang's just kind of like jumping around in the background acting foolish. Which isn't to say I don't enjoy Minhi's sense of humor, because I do, but I just didn't like the way she tried to put it into this song in particular. And so I'm gonna give this performance a rat. And the judges do ultimately make the right call here, giving Makayla the win, which means Makayla has won Team Perla a point, and Minhi Wang could, at this point in the show, be in the bottom. And next up, we've got Helena Poison versus Jaylene Tyme to San Francisco by Rufus, Wainricht, live at Carnegie Hall, which is a really interesting number to introduce here because it is a live recording and thus has some moments of spoken word, like in the beginning of the track. And in that first portion of the song, like the first third, I would say Jaylene really did eat. I thought she did great on all of the timing and perfectly mimed those lip sync parts. However, when it progressed into the quicker paced lip syncing and parts in the song where she could be doing some fun dance moves, it felt a little lackluster to me. She was relying heavily on this outfit to do some dancing for her with her slow twirls as she went around the stage. And it worked for a moment, but then just got kind of one note by the end of the track. Helena, on the other hand, got better and better as the song progressed. Because as I said, Jaylene did win that first part for me, but Helena's ability to, I think, mime those words in the track perfectly and express all that emotion while also delivering on the choreo was just superior to what Jaylene was giving here. And Jaylene was kind of wandering all over the stage with her twirls, while Helena really found her moment and claimed her space right there where she was. And for as horribly she was dressed and as mismatched as her outfit was for this song in particular, like I don't know what possessed her to wear a stained glass window with emo scene hair to this track, I do not know, but the lip sync was great. It was really a phenomenal performance from her, and I would give this a hot. But I would give Jaylene Queen a warming up. And so here I'm standing with the judges and saying that Helena deserved this win, which means Team Virgo Queen gets a point, putting these two teams tied at this point in the episode. And next we've got another shocker with Gahd versus Xana to Heads'll Roll by the Yeah Yeah Yeahs 8-track remix, which is the dancey upbeat version of this song that you probably all know and love and hear in the club. And this was another shocker in terms of how it played out. So we've got Xana here, who is absolutely dressed to kill and looking like she is about to take some heads off. Like, I fully expected her to body this, but instead she was the one that got bodied in the end. And I feel like her big mistake in this performance was just walking all over the stage. Like, every time the camera is on her, she is going from point A to point B to point C to point D, like she was getting those 10,000 steps in that day, which is good. We support the cardio, we support the heart health, and we want that for her. But on that day, on that stage, was not where it needed to happen. And in between all these steps, she is adding in some tricks, but they're not landing. Like, she does a headstand into a split that's kind of has a sloppy ending, and I feel like her facial choreography just wasn't there, especially compared to Uma. It was like she was having a hard time enunciating some of the lyrics, and this ultimately is a pretty dramatic rock song with really expressive lyrics, and Ms. Xana just did not deliver on that for me, so I'm gonna give her a Uma. On the other hand, firstly, this outfit from Gahd, what is this? It is giving escaped mental patient from the asylum. I don't know what possessed her to wear this. This has to be, I think, one of the worst outfits I've ever seen disgrace the stage of RuPaul's Drag Race. Seriously, I think it is that bad. And then this outfit combined with the half-bald mohawk, that face contour, I don't know what this was. The look, giving crazy. It's giving rock. The performance was giving hot. Because like for as much energy as in this track, like we needed to see some dancing, and Uma delivered on the dancing. Meanwhile, Ms. Xana's over there on the treadmill. And interestingly, she also was kind of another standing in my lane, claiming my space, park and bark style of lip sync performance, which you wouldn't think would work for a song like this, but she made it work for a song like this, and that's what really gagged me in the end. And I wouldn't say this was my favorite performance of the night, but I was fully prepared to rot it just for the outfit alone, and she honestly turned it out. I gotta give it to her. I gotta give her a little bit of a props to your mama, but burn that outfit. So Gahd wins. The judges made the right decision here, also, I believe. And Team Perla gets another point, leading us into our next lip sync, which is the Virgo Queen versus Tiffany and Co. to Exes by Tate McRae. And we go into this lip sync hearing all about how Miss Tiffany does Tate McRae back home, and that's her bread and butter. And so we're expecting this really great lip sync from her. And side note, I love Tate McRae. I feel you on that, Tiffany. Tate was my #5 Spotify artist this year, and I just think she is the best. She's beautiful, she's hot, she is an incredible performer. Her videos are great. Go watch them if you haven't. She is truly, she even says this, like the Britney of this pop generation, and that's a correct statement. Anyways, for all the expectation and setup we get from Tiffany about this lip sync, the performance she gives is ultimately just kind of okay. It certainly wasn't bad, but in Tiffany, I see this really interesting, like unharnessed, unmolded, raw spark and fire. Like I think one day she will have the experience to mold all of that into a really sharp piece of performance weaponry, but there on that stage at that place in time, she just had not done that yet. There's like a sexy messiness to Tate's choreo she does in her videos that Tiffany does capture here. However, Tate's choreo is also very perfectly like tight and on beat with these little messy, sultry moments. And Tiffany just didn't have those tighter on beat moments for me. And she also didn't really know how, I think, to transition from one place on the stage to another. So you see this example where she's like down in a split or a backbend or something, and she just doesn't quite know how to get back up and go into the next move. And so because there was too much fluidity in her performance and just not enough intentionality, I'm gonna give this a warming up. The Virgo Queen, on the other hand, was all intentionality. Every one of her dance moves is like perfectly choreographed, and she is showing you exactly where those arms are going and exactly what move is gonna happen next. And it was a really good lip sync from her. But I do think if I were going to critique this, she could take some notes from some of the fluidity that Tiffany had, because I think some of the lip sync Virgo Queen gave was just a little stiff for this song. And I know y'all probably think I'm insane, but like, I just really love Tate McRae, and so I'm being picky. Hands down, boots up though, the Virgo Queen does win this lip sync, and the judges do acknowledge that. Which means our two teams are neck and neck at this point in the episode, 2 and 2, and anyone when. Going into the final lip sync, we have Sanjina Dabish Queen versus Perla to Bad Bitches Don't Cry by Priyanka and Ralph. And let me just say, I have some thoughts here. Sanjina came out of the gate swinging in this lip sync. Girl, the energy, electric. It was giving RuPaul after 17 coffee enemas, in a good way. And honestly, that is what this track needed. Priyanka is that girl in her tracks that is that high energy. She's rapping, she's singing, she is just attacking the beat. And Sanjina did that. She showed all that off and gave exactly what needed to be given in that moment. However, for me personally, I wanted a little bit more of a dynamic performance, and by like halfway through the song, I was kind of like, okay, Sanjina, like what else could you give us? And she kind of just stayed on that one note. And so by the end, she kind of lost my interest. Perla, on the other hand, a little bit of a slow burn. She didn't have as much frantic energy in the beginning, but she really focuses in on her part of the stage. Sanjina over there, not walking from point A to point B, running from point A to point B. Xana walks so Sanjina can run. But Perla's on her side of the stage in her moment, claiming her space, holding her space for defying gravity right there on the floor, doing a lot of floor work. There's some back bends, she flies up from the back bends, and then she starts working in the hairography, and she is going in with that hairography, almost breaking her neck. I thought that little American Girl doll was gonna snap right there on that stage, just snap in half. And the other thing we see from Perla, like Sanjina, is she is in it on the facial choreography. She is miming that lip sync so well, so clean. Both of them, really, they both did great in this. But as I said, I think by the end of the track, Perla had showed off a more dynamic performance. And for me personally, I would have given Perla the win here. The judges, however, and unfortunately I have not been invited to be on that panel, the judges, however, decide to give the win to Sanjina. And I would say the difference between these two, it was a hair, or like a few hairs, right? And so I'm not mad. This wasn't a robbery. However, this does mean that the Virgo Queen's team ultimately wins, and Perla herself, team captain of her team and loser of this lip sync, is in the bottom 3 after giving a stellar lip sync, gag of the season. And Perla is there set, finding herself in the bottom next to Tiffany and Co. and Jaylene Tyme. And the way they did the win this episode was interesting because I thought they were gonna give wins to the entire winning team. However, they do single out just the Virgo Queen for the win here, which kind of surprised me in one way, because if I were gonna pick a winner of the winners in the winning team, I probably honestly would have given it to Helena Poison, because her lip sync outcome I think was the most shocking. Did not expect her to beat Jaylene, and I think of the wins in her group, she had the best performance considered like in isolation. However, the Virgo Queen was the captain of her team, so I can see the argument there for giving her that win. But this means that the Virgo Queen has a tough decision to make, because with a win comes great responsibility, and she's gonna decide who to give this golden beaver to. And over at Untucked, the girls are getting emotional. Miss Jaylene starts it off with a really impassioned speech about claiming her space and this being her time, and talking about how she is doing drag in her own way and really wants to be seen by the other girls. And they acknowledge that she is doing all those things and they do see her. But she almost says it in this way that it's like, oh my God, like if she doesn't get the beaver, I mean, you know, you gonna do that to her? Are you gonna be the evil person in the room who doesn't give the beaver to Jaylene? Like, I think she could play this card one time. I do not think if she ever found herself in the bottom 3, she could play that same card. But this time she does play the card, and I think she plays it successfully. But also, let me just say, even though I personally, looking at this from like a track record perspective, probably would have chosen to give the beaver to Perla, because she does have a win, and she did, I think, of the 3 in the bottom, have the best lip sync of the 3 in this episode. I also am not ready here to see Jaylene Tyme go. And if the beaver were given to Perla on the basis of fairness, that would mean that Tiffany would be lip syncing against Jaylene Tyme. And if we know we're not ready to say bye to Jaylene, then we have to acknowledge there is a real risk of Tiffany sending Jaylene home in a lip sync here. And so ultimately, even though the Virgo Queen doesn't make the track record choice, or maybe even the fair choice just based on the episode, I do think she made the right choice, because the only person that could beat Tiffany, I think of those two, was Perla. And guess what, Mimi? She did. So Jaylene gets the beaver and she's safe, and then now we've got a bottom 2 lip sync between Perla and Tiffany and Co. to Hot by Avril Lavigne, the 6th lip sync of this episode. And firstly, let me just announce, I have an announcement. I finally, as a grown adult person, finally got tickets to see Avril Lavigne. And this has been a long time coming. I have been an Avril Lavigne fan since I was like 7, 8, or 9, and I would listen to her in my CD player, my portable Sony Walkman, Avril Lavigne, her first 2 albums on disc, and you had to hold that thing still so it didn't skip. And I would listen to her on road trips, in the car. Avril was my girl. Never got to see her when I was younger, and then by the time I was in high school, I was just like, you know, I was like too cool for Avril, wasn't listening to her anymore. And then Avril got really sick and kind of disappeared for a few years, and you know, then she was maybe replaced by a lizard person or not, we don't know, jury's still out on that one. But here I am as an adult, reclaiming my space, reclaiming my time, and proudly going to see Avril Lavigne to complete my childhood fantasies. So props to me, mama, for that one. But back to the episode, Perla and Tiffany, they tore this up. This was the best lip sync of the entire episode right here. They sat down at that buffet table at the Golden Corral and they ate. And those plates were full. They filled them up. They got the plates, put them on the trays. Steak, chicken, mashed potatoes, corn, green beans, hams, yams, ate. They went back for seconds. They went back for thirds. They got dessert. They left no crumbs on that table. Golden Corral to charge them twice for their meals. That's how much they ate. But what really gagged me the most in this lip sync was just really how great of a performance both queens gave. Because Perla, for some reason, I just really underestimated her like in the first episode. And she is just proving time and time again to be such a powerhouse of talent. She can act. She's got great runways. This look, not so great. Again, kind of looks like American Girl doll, but can lip sync the house down. She knows the ins and outs of this track. She's giving those like smirks and like little playing with her hairs and doing those little things, like the characterizations of like a punky, flirty, bad girl Avril moment. And then Tiffany over there, she's giving the angst. She's giving more that youthful Avril, that, you know, the world's against me, life's hard. And compared this lip sync from Tiffany to what she did earlier. She found a control here in this Avril Lavigne lip sync and harnessed that raw power and edge into a weapon and used it. She would let her lip sync and do the work here, and she wasn't trying to do too much. This was a really difficult call for me. Ultimately though, Tiffany's in the bottom two for the third time. Perla has a win, and Perla maybe won by a hair. I could see the argument for Tiffany winning, and I could see people being upset that she was sent home here. I do think it was her time, and I think Perla deserved and earned her spot here to stay. So that's the tea. Just want to remind you all that this channel would not be possible without my generous patrons over on patreon.com/bussyqueen. That's my members only website where I react to every episode of Drag Race that I review. And these videos are long. These are extra content, exclusive extra content where I go in. We talk about all kinds of stuff in these videos. They're sometimes an hour, 2 hours long. There's no limits to what we talk about on the bus stop. And my patrons know that. And I think it's time you become a patron. That's all I got for you today. So I guess I'll see you later. But I'll see my patrons sooner than I see my non-patrons because they get more videos, exclusive videos. Sooner even than you do, if you're not a patron. And finally, I want to say thank you so much for watching today's video and give an extra special shout out to Ashton, Felicia, Laura, Matthew Burns, Mikal Minst, and Will and Tana, who are all supporting me at my Bussy Queen collector tier at patreon.com/bussyqueen. See you later. Love ya. Bye. And today, we'll be wiping the lip gloss off my teeth before I finish the rest of this video.